I think I did very good. I can give this an A performance because it's not too much damage I took from this fight. I did use my reach like everybody wants me to always. So I think listening and sticking to the plan gives me that A performance.
Man, that dude need to be 86 for the division. He way too tall. I'm sorry, they need to calibrate them scales. I don't know how he making them weight classes. It is not fair. It is not fair.
So he beats Zoo, and then he beats, Thurman, who's been very inactive, moved up in weight, and was a huge underdog for those reasons. So let him beat somebody maybe a little bit of a higher.
He made the right call.
Keith was talking about the fight maybe being stopped prematurely. Did you feel that way being in there with him? Did you feel like you had sufficiently damaged him and that he was on his last legs?
I didn't think it was stopped prematurely. I thought it was stopped at the right time because as soon as that eye cut open, the doctor was already looking at that eye. And it was all purple. As soon as we stepped into the 6th round, I knew I had to bust it open, and then it happened with one of the first punches. But me as a person, as a human being, I wouldn't want him to take any more damage. But this is boxing, so it's not up to me.
And out of all the guys in the division, is there any one of them that you want the most?
No.
He definitely trained hard. He has that conditioning. He's a volume puncher, and I think it's just that little bit of a press that he was putting on that, let that referee feel, the way that he felt to jump in. But, he was pressing, he was opening up, he was starting to throw wide. And that's where, the veteran has an opportunity to shine. I'm telling you, man, the fans were loving it. The action was getting real. There was no need to just stop it right then and right there, But, once again, I'm not that beat up. I can fight more, and we'll see what happens, man. But it was a good fight. I wanted a great fight, and I think if it went just a few more minutes, something great would happen. Or maybe I would have got dropped, and then, at the end of the day, I can accept a true defeat. But defeat on top of defeat, it just doesn't feel right, man. It's very unfortunate because I've never been stopped in my career, not in the amateurs, not in the pros. So just a referee depicting my...
I love the stoppage with the referee. I thought the referee, look, he was compassionate. He did the right thing, right? He protected the fighter, but he protected himself a little bit too because it was looking a little bit bad there. But I wasn't thrilled with the referee stopping it, I'll tell you right now. But it's awful hard to argue strongly against it because he was getting busted up. It was a whitewash. It was one-way traffic. It didn't look like he had answers. He had the right idea, but it wasn't being executed. The idea was to use his athleticism, move side to side, keep Fundora moving his feet, switching his stances, and then get in, jump in, move in, close in real quick, and attack.
Sebastian Fundora just broke his silence, and what he said about the Keith Thurman stoppage is going to shock you. Because while everyone's screaming about early stoppages and unfair advantages, Fundora dropped some truth bombs that change everything.
Sebastian, great performance. Again, Keith Thurman, it was part of the big three at 147 with with Earl and Crawford, and they didn't fight him, so good to you. Right now, you put yourself on top at 154. Would you consider going up to 160 if the matchup is right for you?
As of right now, no. There's so much fights at 154, it doesn't make sense for me to just abandon that weight class, especially me being a world champion, we have all kinds of names. And
here's what nobody's talking about. Fundora didn't just beat Thurman with his freakish 6'6" frame. He's been grinding in the gym for months, perfecting a game plan that had nothing to do with just being tall. This wasn't some lucky size advantage.
Fundora has gotten better and better in his last 5 or so fights. He's gotten just a little bit better in each of those fights.
Yes.
Maybe even 4, and now including this one, it will be 5, give or take, somewhere around there where I've been able to see him do this every fight. I think it's been 4 now, going now 5 fights when I've seen him do this. And what I saw in this fight, I said, well, for me, this is what makes him the most dangerous guy in the division. It's not the height. It's not the range. It's not the fact that he's now using it more in the jab and all that. It's the fact that he can game plan. When you got these weapons like we always talk about, and now you know how to use these weapons more than you ever have before. Yeah, now you're becoming a serious threat to the landscape of the.
But Keith Thurman, he's furious about that 6th round stoppage. Claims he was about to turn the whole fight around and only needed a few more rounds to make his comeback. The former world champion insists he was still in control when the ref stepped in.
I wanna praise Sebastian and his team, his dad, because that was something that I didn't think was there. They have the ability to game plan, to know what they're up against. Shout out to Mr. Fundora for masterminding his son and getting him to this point. They've been able to really make this happen, and that to me is what I saw this fight that made me say, oh boy,
He's the problem.
he's a legitimate problem. And yet again, I said I wasn't gonna bet against him, and this is finally the last time I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Until he gets another match, and I'm sure I'm gonna find something that's so great about somebody else, whether it's Virgil Ortiz, whomever it could be. But he has to be the candidate for number 1.
Even Teddy Atlas admitted he didn't love the stoppage. And when Atlas questions a referee decision, you know there's real controversy brewing. He said Thurman was taking damage, but maybe the ref jumped the gun just a little bit too quick.
Listen, I think the rematch Fundora with Tim was an adjusted Fundora. I don't think it was the first Fundora. The first Fundora, I think Tim was about to knock him out. You know, I wasn't that impressed with that Fundora. But Fundora's gotten better. He's made some improvements. He has this little half steps he makes now to adjust his distance, which once a guy 6'5", 6'6" knows how to adjust his distance, it creates a lot more problems. I don't understand why Fundora was never understanding how to adjust his distance before. I think in the first fight, Fundora was on his way to getting beat. In the second fight, you could see the clear adjustments. I think you started seeing them probably in the Cordell Booker fight. And now in the Thurman fight, I mean, Thurman, I never felt like Thurman's style was going to be a problem for Fundora, with the exception of maybe one big punch, because he's an in-and-out fighter. You're going to have to work your way in through head movement and that kind of style in order to, give a problem to a guy like Fundora. Being in and out, too much distance to travel because the guy's 6'5", 6'6", and Thurman was always a bouncy guy. He jumps, he leaps in explosively, jumps out, jumps in. 37, he's going to be less explosive, and he's never shown that he was the head movement type. So when I saw the fight, I wasn't shocked, but then of course I did. My head did go back to Tim, knowing that I was coming here for this fight, and I thought to myself, you know what? Tim doesn't look so bad anymore. Like people maybe could cut Tim some slack a little bit, because even in the rematch Fundora, even in the adjusted Fundora, Tim, when he made his last stand before the fight got stopped, he was landing some good punches. He was throwing some good punches, throwing hard. He landing good punches.
Here's where it gets wild, though. Remember Fundora's fight with Tim Tishayu? That nasty cut from an accidental elbow that had Tishayu fighting basically blind. Some fans are still questioning if Fundora's tactics are dirty, even though it was clearly accidental.
The fight was stopped.
He was getting better at using his length and his size to his advantage, which was silly that he used to always give it up. But also he is a destructive puncher, and he's very smart in the way that he utilizes his weaponry. The guy can land a short uppercut from halfway across the ring. He can hit you at any point in the ring because he's that tall and long. He throws a rear uppercut from long range. He throws a lead uppercut from mid range. So he's a wildly dangerous puzzle to figure out. And Keith had no answer. And I guess in hindsight, that's probably not that surprising. Keith was not a 54-pounder. But yeah, it was underwhelming, I should say.
I expected a little more from Keith. Talks the big game. Had that illustrious run at 147, but ultimately, like I said, Father Time over one time. Father Time gets everybody. He just looks slow. The legs weren't there. And also, you're fighting a guy, like you said, with the 80-inch reach. and is also knows how to use it now. That's what we're seeing from Fundora. Is first couple of fights of his career when he was fighting on TV.
Now Rolando Romero just called out the elephant in the room. He straight up said Fundora is too big for the division and questioned how he even makes weight. Tank's teammate thinks the sanctioning bodies need to step in because this size advantage is getting ridiculous.
He has to be the candidate for #1 at super welterweight now.
He's got as good a claim as anybody. There is no king at 154 right now, but there's a lot of great talents jockeying for that position. Zayas and Boots just got announced today.
He needs a name like that to be the king.
Ortiz. I've been pushing for that fight forever. You know they do. You know Virgil Ortiz is the interim WBC champion, right? And Sebastian Fundora is the WBC champion.
You've been talking about that.
For like a while. You know, WBC. You're lucky that the Ortiz kid is in a lawsuit right now, or else it'd be like, what are you doing here? You know, you're supposed to be an independent party. It's like, well, obviously, Golden Boy Ortiz is going to want it on his own. Obviously, PBC Fundora is going to want it on Prime PBC. And it's like, well, if only there was this independent arbiter that would make them make the fight. Oh.
But here's the kicker. Fundora has zero plans to move up in weight anytime soon. He's got unfinished business at 154 pounds and wants to clean out the entire division before even thinking about jumping weight classes. The man's on a mission. Sean Porter dropped some serious knowledge, though. He says Fundora's success isn't just about being a giant. It's about his father's strategic game planning and how they study opponents like chess masters. Every fight has a specific blueprint designed to maximize those physical gifts. Even Paulie Malignaggi had to give props. He pointed out how much Fundora has improved since that first T-Shayu fight, especially his footwork and distance control. Against Thurman's in-and-out style with limited head movement, it was a perfect stylistic nightmare. Errol Spence was blown away by Fundora's jab work against Thurman. Said controlling range with that kind of precision in a big fight shows elite-level boxing IQ. It's not just about being tall, it's about using every inch of that reach like a weapon. Chris Algery called Fundora a dangerous puzzle that Thurman couldn't solve. Mixing long-range boxing with surprise uppercuts kept Keith guessing all night. The former champion has evolved from an awkward giant into a technical nightmare for anyone at 154 pounds. But hold up, Fundora's calling himself the best at 154 after one big win. That division is absolutely stacked with killers like Virgil Ortiz Jr., Tim T-Shayu, and other rising stars. Saying you're the king after beating an inactive Thurman might be jumping the gun just a little bit. So here's the real question that's dividing boxing fans right now. Was that stoppage fair, or does Fundora's freakish size create an unfair advantage that's killing competitive fights? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this debate is far from over. If you want more boxing breakdowns that cut through the BS, smash that like button and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.